The Christian faith is about one person and one person only. It is about Jesus the Christ and Him alone. Period. The Christian faith isn't about Reverend, give me more. It's not about Evangelist Sweetness. It has nothing to do with Reverend Hype or Deacon Blessing. It's all about Jesus and Him alone. And many of us are falling because we took our eyes off Him and we started focusing on individuals that are flawed and messed up. We are all, let me tell you something, there is nobody that you can look to apart from Jesus Christ in whom you will find perfection. Everybody comes up short. And therefore, all you have to do is look long enough and you will find a reason to justify not following Christ if you watch man. Jesus had 12. One of them was a devil. Listen, if you go into a church and there is 13 or more, chances are you're going to run into more than 2 devils. Okay? That's the reality. It has always been. So we first need to quit tripping over each other's failure, because every last one of us will come up short at some point and at some time. It's not about us, it's about Christ. And here's a question that needs to be answered. Who is He? To answer that question, I want to do it like this. Let's examine it. Let's find out. Because here's what the Christian faith boils or narrows down to. Because sometimes we make it so complicated. It really isn't. It boils down to the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. He paid the price. And if any part of that isn't true, then hey, game over. What's all the hype about? Okay, so, and Paul said this in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. He said that if Christ be not risen, then we are all men most miserable. If He didn't rise from the dead, game over. This is all a charade. So let's look at it as, as logically as we can. I'm not going to do the religious. Let's just do plain, straight talk. All right? Here we go. There were 3 groups of people that encountered Christ while He lived, while He walked, while He was here. Those who relate the story to us, there were 3 sets. And we're going to look at them. We had the Jewish leaders. You had the Jews. Then you had the Gentiles, represented by the Romans. And you had His followers. 3 sets. What's amazing is that these three groups of people came to 3 different conclusions as to who Jesus was. And I think C.S. Lewis was the one who rendered it best when he said, He's either a lunatic, a liar, or He is Lord. Those are the only 3 choices that we have when it comes on to the question of who is Jesus. You do not have a 4th. 3 only. And let's face it, there are religions and faith out there that claims that, well, there is a 4th option. He's a good man, but he's not all that. Whoa, hold on. Because here's the problem with that. The problem with that is that, think about it. He said that He was Lord. So then, if you say that He's not, you're siding with the group that say He's a liar. In St. John 14, 5-10, He said to Thomas and to Philip, He says, when they ask him, show us the Father, He said, have I been so long with you and yet you have not known me? If you've seen me, you have seen the Father. That was His statement. Also in St. John chapter 13 and also verse 13, He says that you call me Lord and Master, and you say, well, because that's who I am. With His lips He declared. We can also look at Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 6, where the prophet, looking ahead in time, saw Him and said, unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor. The mighty God, the everlasting Father. And who pray tell, do you think they're talking about? So the Bible affirms it. He himself affirms it, and we see this over and over, okay? So you don't have that choice to say that he isn't. If you do come to the conclusion that he isn't, then you are with the group that said he is a liar. You can also look at scriptures like Colossians 1, 15 to 17, and Colossians 2, 9 and 10, and you'll see more details as to his true identity. But we're going to get there. Now, let's look at the three choices we have. And to examine it closely, we're going to look where the Apostle Paul pointed when he said, if he did not rise from the dead, we're a miserable bunch of lying hypocrites. Okay? At his crucifixion, death, burial, and resurrection. Okay. Let's start with the Jews first. They claim that he was a deceiver and a liar, a con job, a charlatan, a trickster, a troublemaker. All these different things they call him, right? First look at St. Matthew 27 and look at verse 63. And you see clearly where they said when they went to Pilate, and they said, after he was crucified, they went to Pilate and they said to Pilate, listen, this deceiver, when he was alive, said X, Y, and Z. So from their own testimony, they told us that they thought he was a deceiver, a liar. So that was their conclusion. The Jews concluded that he was a liar. Okay? Now, how about the Romans? They concluded that he was a lunatic. They concluded that he wasn't all there. He was maybe 2 roosters, a pig, 2 goats, and a cow short of a full farm. He didn't have it all together. All the dots were not connected. And let's be fair. Let's be honest. Them I sympathize with, and I can understand their position, because really, Jesus made it tough on them. Okay? He said some really outlandish things if you don't believe in him. Okay? Here he is on trial. Pilate takes him in the back room and said, work with me, bro, man. Work with me. Let me help you. Okay? Who are you? Same question we're trying to figure out today. Who are you? Are you a king? Are you who are you? And Jesus answered, well, my kingdom is not of this world. Okay? All right? I got powers. I can help a brother. I can help you out. Talk to me. Help me out. Help me to help you. Jesus responds, you wouldn't have any power over me unless it was given to you by my Father. Of course they thought it was crazy. That made no sense. And Pilate was like, you're not right. What do you mean? Your Father gave me the power to destroy you, to beat you, to mess you up? What are you saying? And your kingdom is not of this world. This world is all we have. What are you talking about? So, and the fact that he stood there and never defended himself. Here he is. Everybody's screaming for his blood. Kill him, crucify him, kill him, crucify him. And the guy wouldn't defend himself. No, there's a problem. I would have thought he's crazy too, because self-preservation is instinctive. We all, by reflex, try to protect ourselves. We'll be like, Pilate, oh man, I really thank you for talking to me, because, really, let me tell you about Caiaphas. Let me tell you about those jokers outside there. And I would be telling that I would be doing everything to save my hide. That's human nature. Jesus never tried. So the Romans concluded he ain't all here. He is not sane. They think he was a lunatic. And they validated their conclusion by dressing him up like a clown, put a crown of thorn on his head. They mocked him, they jeered him, they ridiculed, they made fun of him because he was a joke to them. All right, that's their conclusion. All right. The final group was his followers. And guess what? This is the one that grabs me. This is the one that impacted me the most. My decision is based on their actions. Here's why. Okay, personally, here is a group of misfits. Let's be real. Let's call it what it is. It's a group of disorganized misfits. You had Peter, the hot-headed, the one that was swearing and cussing after Jesus was grabbed that he didn't know him. I never met him. Jesus who, what's his last name again? No, doesn't ring a bell. Doesn't ring a bell at all. And when they wouldn't bite, they said, oh, you speak like him. He started cussing. I said, no, I don't. And I don't know his script, but oh, brother man went out on a limb because he wasn't going down. And you had the sons of thunder, James and John, the mama's boys. These were like the radical extremists. These dudes wanted to call fire down from heaven to burn up a group of people that was calling in Jesus' name. That wasn't a part of their posse. That was serious extremism. That's the other group. Then you have Thomas, the guy who was, the doubter, we call him. You had Nathaniel, the elitist. You had Judas, the money grubbing thief that sold his master. And you had Matthew, a tax collector that was selling his people out. So, like I said, it's a crazy group of misfits that came together and they were following Jesus. When Jesus got grabbed in the garden, they said, Peter whipped out his sword. I'm going to show you the reality of how real this is. And Peter concluded, if Jesus is fighting for us, we can't lose. And he is ready to fight. And he started hacking and chopping. It probably wasn't very good because he missed the head. He chopped an ear off. And Jesus, what does he do? He bends down, picks it up, puts it back on, and heals the guy. Peter's like, probably at that point, is like, Jesus, which side are you on again? Because if I keep chopping them and you keep healing them, it's going to be a long night. Come on now, help a brother out. And Jesus is telling him, put up the sword. I mean, these guys were real, okay? Then they all turn around and say, Jesus, if you're going to fight, they're like, I'm out of here. They all head for the hills. They said, we didn't sign up for this because we'll fight with you, but you won't even defend yourself, and we didn't sign up to be martyrs. The reality is they expected him to usher in the great restoration of the Jewish kingdom, and they didn't see that happening, and they took off for the hills because this wasn't in the cards. They were not going to lay down their life. They were not going to die for this guy who wouldn't defend himself. They all ran. That's scripted. And that's, like I said, it's instinctive. Self-preservation is instinctive. And so they're gone. But we know that they believed in him in the beginning. So here it is. The Jews thought he was a liar. Romans, he's a joke. And his followers. No. Here's where the rubber meets the road when it comes on to our faith as believers in Jesus Christ. A few days later, several days after the death and burial of Jesus Christ, this same group of misfits that ran for the hills to save their lives kicked off the door of the upper room and burst into the streets declaring that Jesus Christ is Lord. He is the risen, exalted Savior, Redeemer, and God. He is the answer to humanity's dilemma. This is indeed the Christ. He is Lord. My question to you is, what on God's green earth do you think caused them to flip like that? What changed them? The Jews would have us to believe that this group of spineless cowards that wouldn't stand up for him when he was alive somehow miraculously grew some backbone in the middle of the night. Enough backbone that they would attack Roman soldiers, overpower them, steal the body or the dead carcass of a man that they wouldn't defend, and run away with it. Yeah, right. That sells well. Yeah, you think so? Yeah, really. And let's go back to the Romans. Now, this is the same mighty Roman Empire that at the birth of Jesus Christ, when Herod heard that a king was possibly born to the Jew, Rome didn't play. They ordered every child under 2 years old in the entire region to be slaughtered and butchered. And now you're telling me that this same Roman Empire that didn't joke, they murdered infant, now got the news that this man that claimed to be king of the Jew rose from the dead. They even put it on its cross, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jew. Now the same mighty Roman Empire that did not play with their sovereignty heard that this man had risen, and that, or let's say his followers beat up on their soldiers and took his body, and they're now claiming that he's risen to overthrow their empire. And they did nothing. Wow. Nothing. No inquiry was made. They grabbed several of the disciples, and at no point did they ask them for the body. Did they ask them to return it? No, I am not a rocket scientist or anything, but like we said earlier, everything hinges, the entire Christian faith hinges on this truth. Jesus rose from the dead. He ascended into the heavens, and he will return to judge humanity. If that's the whole bedrock of the faith, now it dawns on me that all I would have to do is return the body, game over. If I present the dead body of the so-called risen Messiah, case closed. Nobody even searched. I would have tortured those little jokers until they squeal like a pig. No, but the point is, they all knew because the guards went to tell them. The guards told them when the angel appeared, they were like dead men. So they probably peed on themselves and all that. The reality is, they all knew. Conclusion. The only thing that I can think of, you need to make your own decision, that could make this group of misfits come together, declaring that Jesus Christ is Lord, as they saw something. And here's where it gets even better. For me personally, I don't know about you. As soon as they jumped out of the gate declaring that Jesus Christ was Lord, the Caesar at the time grabbed James, the brother of John, and chopped his head off. Wow. No. Remember I told you that self-preservation is instinctive. No. Tell me what would make this group of misfits continue to propagate or to present this lying story if it were not true? What would make them suddenly have no fear of death? What took that fear away from them? Because they were afraid. They were afraid. Okay? But all of a sudden, something happened to them, and you saw your brother's head chopped off, and you continued to lie? Oh, by the way, what was in it for them again? Because it's not like today with the prosperity junk that many preachers sell people because we're so greedy. And in back home they say licky licky. So we want this, we want that, we want big cars, we want homes. So if God can do it for us, then I'll serve him. But what was in it for them back then? Because they weren't getting any of that. Paul says in the book of Corinthians that we're like the offscoring. Corinthians chapter 4, he says we're like the offscoring. We're like the dross you scour off a vessel. We are filth. We are like dirt. We are oppressed. We are beaten. We are abused. We are shipwrecked. We are killed daily for this gospel. Is that what they turn to for no reason at all? For no reason, these guys just decide to sacrifice their life for nothing at all. And they were a bunch of cowards. And not one of them recanted. Not one of them. Every single one of them died horrible, torturous death, and none of them changed their script. Wow. What do you think happened? Something totally removed from them the fear of death. Maybe the risen Christ? Oh yeah? But here's another amazing truth, because in today's culture we have a lot of extremists and fanatics. People that will blow themselves up because they believe in their Allah or God or whatever. So somebody might be saying that, well, what's the difference with the disciples? A very good question. Now, if I convince someone to believe something and they believe it with all their heart, yes, they will do extreme things because they believe. The difference with the apostles were they were the architect of the lie. If it was a lie, they knew it. It's not like somebody tricked them into believing wholeheartedly into something that was not so. They were the ones who said that we saw him, we ate with him after he rose from the dead, we touched him. So if it was a lie, listen, let's face it. We have all these trained politicians that will stretch the truth from one end of the globe to the next, and they will concoct stories, and they'll do whatever it takes for them to get what they want politically. But let our cause a scandal to break, or let the truth leak out somewhere where their necks are now on the line, or their butt is about to be placed in a vice, and see how quick they begin to roll over, and they would cut deals, and they will spill their guts, because self-preservation again. They need to save themselves. And we see it all the time. They're telling you one story, and as soon as the hammer comes down, no, it wasn't me, it was that one, and he made me do it, the devil and everybody's pointing fingers, and the truth comes out. Not one single one of the disciples recanted, every one of them, and these were not trained. They had nothing to get. There were no promise of greatness in this life. Thomas had problem believing when they told him, and the beauty of Jesus is that he showed up for Thomas and he said, come here, homeboy. Put your finger right here in the hole in my hand. Give me a hand. Stick it in the side. Is that what you needed? Thomas then said, my Lord and my God. He got it. I am praying that whatever you need to journey from your valley of doubt and indecision to your mountaintop of faith in Jesus Christ, he's going to show up for you and provide you with it, because this is too important. Jesus gave Thomas exactly what he needed to believe. I'm praying that he's going to provide it for you also. God bless you.